On a freezing November night in 1953, a man crashed through the window of a New York hotel and fell 13 stories to the pavement below. His name was Frank Olson, an army biochemist. The official story called it suicide, a nervous breakdown, a tragedy no one could have prevented. But 9 days earlier, Olson had been slipped a dose of LSD by his own colleagues, without his knowledge or his consent. What happened in that room would stay buried for more than 20 years. When Olson's family finally learned the truth in 1975, they were told he had been an unwitting test subject in a secret government program. The men who had drugged him were not foreign enemies. They were agents of the Central Intelligence Agency. And Olson was only one name inside a project so vast, so strange, that even the people running it struggled to describe its true purpose. It had a code name: MKUltra. For decades the CIA poured money into a single obsession. Could the human mind be broken, rewired, and controlled? Could you erase a memory, plant a false one, or turn an ordinary citizen into a weapon who would never remember why? To find out, they experimented on soldiers, patients, prisoners, and people who had no idea they were part of anything at all. This is the story of how far a government will go to conquer the last frontier, the inside of your head. To understand MKUltra, you have to go back to the early 1950s, to a fear that gripped Washington like a fever. American prisoners captured during the Korean War began appearing on film, calmly denouncing their own country and confessing to crimes they never committed. To American officials, there seemed only one explanation. The communists had discovered something the West had not, a way to reach inside a man's mind and flip a switch. A journalist gave that terrifying idea a name: brainwashing. The CIA was convinced the Soviets and Chinese were building an army of programmable humans. What the agency did not know, and would not admit for years, was whether such a thing was even possible. So they resolved to find out first, at any cost. In April 1953, the director of Central Intelligence, Allen Dulles, authorized a program to master the techniques of mind control. He handed it to a chemist with a clubfoot and a beekeeper's curiosity named Sidney Gottlieb. Gottlieb believed the key might lie in chemistry, in a drug that could dissolve the walls of the mind and leave it open to suggestion. One substance fascinated him above all others. It was new, it was almost unimaginably powerful, and it could be produced by a single Swiss laboratory. The question that would haunt the next decade was simple. Could a drug called LSD unlock the human brain? The agency intended to test it on anyone it could reach. To learn what LSD did to a person, Gottlieb decided the experiments had to be real, and the subjects could not know. His logic was chilling but consistent. An enemy would never warn you before dosing you, so a true test meant surprise. First, the CIA scientists dosed each other, spiking coffee and drinks around the office until no one felt safe eating lunch. But colleagues were not enough. To see the drug's real power, they needed people who would never suspect a thing. That decision led to a program with an almost comic code name and a sinister design: Operation Midnight Climax. In apartments in San Francisco and New York, the CIA hired sex workers to lure men to safe houses, where the visitors were served drinks laced with LSD. Behind a two-way mirror, agents watched and recorded everything, sometimes sipping cocktails as they took notes. The men who stumbled out had no idea they had just been part of a federal experiment. The results were mostly useless as science. Terror, confusion, hallucinations lasting hours, but no magic switch and no obedient puppet. Yet the agency kept going, expanding the tests to hospitals, universities, and prisons across the country. Somewhere in that sprawling machine, an experiment was already spiraling toward disaster. It would end with a scientist falling from a hotel window, and a family that would spend the rest of their lives demanding the truth. While Gottlieb chased chemicals, the CIA quietly funded a respected psychiatrist in Montreal who believed he could do something even more radical. His name was Dr. Ewan Cameron, and he was no fringe figure. He led major psychiatric associations and was admired around the world. But behind the doors of the Allen Memorial Institute, Cameron was pursuing a theory that sounded like something from a nightmare. He believed he could erase a broken mind completely, and build a healthy one in its place. Cameron called his method depatterning. Patients who had come to him for anxiety or depression were subjected to massive electroshock, far beyond normal doses, then drugged into a coma-like sleep for weeks at a time. As they lay unconscious, speakers under their pillows repeated recorded messages tens of thousands of times, a technique he named psychic driving. The goal was to scrub the mind blank and reprogram it. Instead, many patients emerged unable to remember their own children, their homes, or who they had ever been. The damage was permanent. People who walked in with ordinary problems left as strangers to their own lives, some reduced to a childlike state, unable to function ever again. The CIA had bankrolled it through a front foundation, keeping its name far from the wreckage. And the open question Cameron never answered was the one that mattered most. If you truly empty a human mind, is there anything left to fill it back up? The ultimate dream of MKUltra was never really a truth serum. It was control. The agency wanted to know if a person could be programmed to carry out an act, even murder, and then forget it entirely, leaving no memory to confess and no guilt to betray them. Internal documents openly asked whether they could create what one memo called a Manchurian candidate, borrowing the name from the era's most famous thriller. It was the Holy Grail. A human weapon who would never know they were one. To reach it, the program spread into nearly every corner of human experience. Hypnosis and sensory deprivation. Heroin, mescaline, and barbiturates. Extreme isolation, sleep deprivation, and electrodes wired to the skull. More than 150 subprojects ran at over 80 institutions, including some of the most prestigious universities and hospitals in America, many of them never told who was really paying. The test subjects were often those least able to say no: prisoners, addicts, psychiatric patients, and the poor. People the system had already decided not to protect. And yet, after 20 years and millions of dollars, the truth was almost anticlimactic. They never built the perfect weapon. There was no reliable way to program a person, no switch to flip, no Manchurian candidate walking the streets. The human mind, it turned out, was far more stubborn than they had hoped. But if the experiments failed so completely, why did the CIA fight so desperately to keep them secret? By 1973, the walls were closing in. A scandal called Watergate had made the public hungry to know what their secret agencies had been doing in the dark. Sidney Gottlieb understood exactly how damning MKUltra would look if it ever surfaced. So he made a decision that nearly erased the program from history. He ordered the files destroyed. Boxes upon boxes of records, 20 years of experiments on unwitting Americans, fed into the shredder on his command. It almost worked. When investigators and journalists began digging in 1975, they found that most of MKUltra's paper trail had vanished. Gottlieb testified that he could barely remember the details, and without records, no one could prove otherwise. The program might have disappeared entirely. But bureaucracy has a strange kind of memory. A clerk had misfiled a single cache of financial documents in the wrong storage room, and those boxes had survived the purge. In 1977, roughly 20,000 pages of those surviving records were released to the public. They confirmed the unthinkable. For over 2 decades, the United States government had drugged its own citizens, funded the destruction of vulnerable minds, and searched for a way to seize control of human thought, all without anyone's consent. Frank Olson's family received a settlement and a rare apology from the president himself. But the deepest questions had already gone up in smoke. Here is the haunting truth that Gottlieb Schroeder left behind. Because the records were destroyed, we will never know the full scope of what was done. We do not know how many people were dosed on a street corner or in a bar and simply walked away, blaming themselves for a terror they could not explain. We do not know how many patients lost their minds in that Montreal hospital. The victims were never counted, because the men in charge made sure they never could be. And there is a final irony buried in all of it. MKUltra failed. After all the money, all the suffering, the CIA never found a way to control the human mind. The brain resisted every drug, every shock, every whispered recording played into the dark. In the end, the most powerful intelligence agency on Earth ran headlong into the one fortress it could not breach, and that fortress was ordinary human consciousness. The thing they tried hardest to conquer was the very thing that defeated them. But the experiments changed something all the same. They taught a generation of officials that the mind was a battlefield, and that the line between protecting a country and betraying its people could be crossed quietly, in a locked room, in the name of security. MKUltra is remembered today as a failure. Yet its greatest success may have been convincing us it was only ever a nightmare from the past. The most dangerous experiments are the ones that leave no memory behind.